back in the video. Today's video is what if Trent was in World Tour. This video was by Charles-XE4OW. Thank you for your suggestion. And now we will begin. Basically, Trent, in case you guys are not aware, Trent was, of course, not put in the season. In the original season, Trent did not qualify for World Tour. So this is analysing if he did, right? So if Trent actually made it to the cast, what team would he be on? And this is obvious. In my question for my Blame Me series, you guys voted for Team Victory, so this will be the team Trent is on. However, if you disagree and think Trent should be on a different team, that's absolutely fine. Please let me know in the comments and I'll make part 2. Because that would be interesting, but well, I do think it would be interesting to be in Team Amazon. I think we're going to put one to Team Victory. Now, already we have a potential problem because there are 6 people on Team Victory, so who do we replace? So it's not like Team Chris where we can just add someone. And that is Ezekiel. You see, Ezekiel was the last one to arrive, so in this version, Trent would be on Team Victory, with Cody being on Team Chris, and Zeke remaining on Team Amazon. So now we have that out of the way, let's begin on what if Trent was in World Tour. So, first of all, Trent would arrive very similar to the others. I think Trent would try to get the attention of Gwen, because in the aftermath, it was showing him and Gwen got on pretty well. But she wouldn't listen, because she's arguing with Duncan and Courtney. So I think Trent would go off by himself. I think Trent would be with Harold. Personally, I think he'd be with Harold. But I think he would arrive before Alejandro does. So I think he would arrive maybe about just before Lindsay, but after Harold. So episode 1, Duncan still quits because Trent doesn't affect Duncan quitting. Episode 2 is getting your items across the canal. So in episode 2, this is getting the items across the canal. So first things first, Alejandro would get everyone to balance on the go like he does in the original. He would just get Cody. Sierra and Izzy do not swap teams because Sierra's with Cody on Team Chris. And Izzy's there for the entire challenge for the camel noises for the entire episode. Like, Ezekiel can't lose a camel in the same movie as this stick. Like, I'm sorry, but I cannot see Ezekiel losing a camel. Like, when you compare a camel to a stick, it's very hard for me to believe that Ezekiel would somehow lose a stick. Right? Unless he was like, at least for someone like Scott, you could definitely say it makes sense. Like, at least you could say for Ezekiel, he's the only contestant to ever lose in a non-elimination round. That wasn't supposed to be an elimination. So, basically, this episode doesn't really matter because this episode originally was a non-elimination if someone lost their item. But because Ezekiel is now on Team Amazon, and he had a very difficult time throwing a camel overboard during the song, I now think nobody actually gets eliminated in this episode. So Duncan quits, but in terms of an actual vote, nobody's actually been eliminated. Episode 3 is the Japan episode. Alejandro would still come up with the monster idea. Harold would still do his authentic commercial, and Trent would also help him with that. But Team Amazon is where we got a bit of a problem. Bit of an issue, because Heather, Courtney, and Gwen, so they're gone, which leaves Izzy and Ezekiel to the commercial. I think will be a disaster, because Izzy is crazy, and Ezekiel would just be having trinkets, so I can't imagine they would pull off something like Sierra and Cody. So I think Team Amazon would actually lose in this challenge this time around. So I think they all vote for Heather because not enough time's passed for Heather to not be the biggest target on her team. So I think everyone's going to vote her off. Like, Ezekiel would probably be in the bottom 2, but because he actually did the challenge, I think Gwen and Courtney would think it's unfair to vote him off. So Team Amazon vote off Heather. Episode 4 is the Yukon. And Alejandro would still flirt with Bridget and get her stuck to a pole. Like, Tyler still pulls, Courtney pulls, and I think DJ. Like, Trent wouldn't affect the episode. Like, Trent and Harold being here doesn't affect anything, so I think the only problem for Alejandro would be that he would have a harder time charming Lashana because Harold's around. So I think Bridget still gets eliminated. Episode 5, Roy Baby. So I'm going to figure out who wins this challenge who gets to meet Grant in episode 7. But because there's no Heather to do the carrot top on Team Chris win the helmets. And it doesn't really matter who's in there because there's no elimination. But basically, I think Trent would do okay. I feel like Trent would get along with Cody. And I think Harold and Trent would be in an alliance. Because of the Drama Bros. And DJ still wants to get himself eliminated, so that's really it. Episode 6 is an aftermath. Episode 7, Slap Slap Revolution. Okay. So now we got Slap Slap Revolution, okay. So, Lashana can't be convinced to jump off the platform because Alejandro can't convince her because Heather's not here. So Team Chris win the challenge with the meat grinder because no one Alejandro will throw it out. I think Team Victory comes second place because they're the second most happy with Team Amazon going last. And because they're the last people done this challenge, they'd be stuck with 2 people during the challenge. Not a thing I agree with, but it's faithful to the original. So it's Izzy and Courtney, Alejandro, Sierra, I guess Noah, and Lashana, Harold. It's a bit of a tricky one because Sierra, her rage powers, I would say Sierra against Lashana. Lashana, Harold. I'm going to say Team Amazon would win because I think they would be able to win. And I also think Team Chris would win it because Cody wouldn't compete in the challenge. So, Cody wants to vote for Sierra. Alejandro's not suspicious of Sierra. So, to gain his loyalty, he wants Cody to vote Sierra because Sierra's a person that Alejandro's threatened by because Sierra knows a lot about the game and she could be onto him. So he makes a deal with Cody saying, you owe me a favour at some point down the line, so I'll vote Sierra with you. And Noah and Owen would vote Sierra because in Ireland him and Noah got on. In I See London, him and Noah got on. There's a bit of banter with him and Noah in this episode, and in I See London, him and Tyler get on very well. And I think these 4 would vote for Sierra regardless of what Alejandro does here. I just think it's going to roll off Sierra after this challenge. Like, Alejandro would read the room and would know to vote her off, so I think they vote off Sierra. Episode 8 is the Amazon race. So Team Amazon go left or right. Lindsay goes left. Tyler gets Team Chris to follow. Team Amazon route. They're going to vote for Ezekiel, but Zeke is saved. Ezekiel is saved. Episode 9, Can Up Falling in Love You. DJ goes after the entire episode. They get mad and vote him off. That just seems like something he would redeem himself from, having destroyed a team's statue. Episode 10 is New Kids on the Block, so Noah and Owen are still best friends at this point. I think it's still a non-elimination round. This is a non-elimination. Episode 11, Jamaica. Izzy jumps out of the plane while it's crashing, so that's important. Owen and Gwen are both in the infirmary. And Courtney and Zeke have to do the challenge. Now, Alejandro realizes that Team Victory are doing very well in this challenge, and Harold is a person that Alejandro is threatened by, so Alejandro would sabotage the track similar to how he does DJ originally, by punching the track by going before them and getting Team Victory to lose. So Lashana and Harold would vote for Lindsay, Trent and Lindsay would vote for Harold, and in that tiebreaker, sorry, Lindsay. And episode 12, Aftermath. So episode 13, I think Duncan returns. Duncan comes back. So here's the thing: Noah and Owen find Jack the Ripper, and Gwen and Courtney find Duncan. So Zeke would be really good in this challenge because he was in the original. So because it's not Ezekiel, I'm just assuming it's Chef now. It's Jack the Ripper. 9, 10, 12. So there's just 2 extra people. So Team Ansel we met Duncan, and Team Chris we met Jack the Ripper, right? So I'm going to honour this because Team Ansel we met Duncan, and Duncan is second prize. So Team Victory just come back with nothing, and they vote for Trent. Yeah, it really sucks. We don't even get a love triangle. No love triangle. That's really sad. I would have loved to see Trent in that drama. I think, if I'm being honest, Trent would have been okay. I think he would have been okay with it. I think he would have been annoyed at Duncan. But I think with Gwen, he would have been happy for Gwen. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? So Trent is out. I think Harold wouldn't want to vote for Trent, but, if she's not Sean and Harold, I can't see them voting for each other. So episode 14, the kiss still happens. Tyler witnesses, right? So Tyler witnesses the kiss. Duncan, Gwen, Harold, I think. Because he wouldn't want Shauna to get the ball, so I think Gwen still wins the challenge. Good, I think Harold did that well here. But Shauna, Owen, Courtney, I think Courtney would win. So that's 2 points for Team Amazon. It's Harold, Alejandro, and Zeke. Alejandro is off still because Alejandro is full of himself. So even though it's not heavy he's racing, I think he's still trying to show off and get it. Once he'd be in the lead, I think he'd be able to show off. And Ezekiel would win the challenge. So the tiebreaker happens between Lashana and Cody. I think Cody would win the challenge. So in a Lashana Harold tiebreaker, I think Harold is eliminated. Now you're probably thinking, why am I eliminated on episode 14? Because if you watch this episode very carefully, it's then made clear by Chris whether or not this episode was a non-elimination if Duncan didn't lose. If Owen was voted off, for example, on 14, I don't think Chris would have said the fun's just begun and stopped it. But because it was Duncan, he stopped it. Harold has no relevance to the drama that's going on, and nobody really knows yet, so he can't say the fun's just getting started. So I think this episode is just made a non-elimination. So they know about the kiss, right? So episode 15, I think Noah and Alejandro's been animosity between them. I think they're off on their own. I think Cody wants to get rid of Duncan. Courtney is throwing the challenge, right? And Gwen and Zeke are the only ones that are actually trying on their team. So I think what would happen is Courtney would still accidentally win it. Duncan makes that deal with Alejandro, right? So he makes that deal with Alejandro. Owen, I think Alejandro and Duncan are carrying Owen. And I think Noah's smart enough behind the other guys. I'm sorry, Lashana. I think Lashana's out. So Team Victory are just out, which is a shame. So episode 16, Pitnang and Dork. Owen takes around his emu. And Courtney still throws the challenge. Because they're both trying to convince Ezekiel in this story. I feel like they're both trying to convince Zeke. So Zeke's just kind of the middleman here. So Team Amazon lose, and I think Gwen and Courtney vote for each other. So Zeke is the swing vote. I think he votes for Courtney because it's season 1. So I think Courtney is actually eliminated. Alright, so episode 17. So episode 17 is Sweet and Sour. Cody would not build Gwen's face because Gwen is still here. Gwen would thank Ezekiel for helping her in get rid of Courtney, and Zeke would say it's no problem. Duncan would work with Tyler and Alejandro to try and get out Noah, I guess. And I think this episode is just made non-elimination. To be honest, I don't think it affects anything. So Blaney joins. Could argue it's Trent, but we're just going to make this merge. So nobody on Team Victory even arrives, alright? So Zeke is in. So the only difference is we have Ezekiel, Noah, and Tyler. So the pairs then. Owen and Blaney. Gwen and Alejandro, because I like that pair. Duncan and Tyler. Noah and Cody. Actually, no, Cody and the Bear. Ezekiel and Blaney. Gwen and Zeke. Owen Blaney. Alejandro and Noah. Gwen Zeke. Alejandro Noah. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out. So I think Gwen and Ezekiel. Blaney and Owen. Alejandro and Noah. Duncan and Tyler, which leaves Cody and the Bear. So Cody's falling because he can't carry a bear. Owen and Blaney fall. Alejandro makes a good point in the original time when his major threat at this point is alliances because he has Tyler and Duncan. So he falls. And Duncan and Tyler, I think, would actually win the challenge. Because I don't think Zeke and Gwen would do that well here. Because Duncan's probably carrying Tyler to the end. But I imagine that Duncan and Tyler would win the challenge. So they win immunity. And then Blaney still reveals Owen's the fan favourite here. So no one will vote for him. But Alejandro convinces Gwen. And I think he can convince Ezekiel. And he has that deal with Cody saying that you got rid of Sierra, so you owe me one. So I think Owen is out. Even if Cody refuses, he still has 5 votes on his side. Like, Blaney was upset, but I don't know whether or not she voted him off. So even if we ignore that, there's still 5 people here to get rid of Owen. So I think Owen's still the first person booted in the merge. So episode 20, Noah is now concerned he's going to be the next target on the team. Noah and Cody work together to get out Alejandro, with Gwen, Ezekiel working with them. I think everyone qualifies for the eating portion. So Alejandro will be out first now because Courtney's not there to cheat for him, right? So Alejandro will be out first. Cody will need the donkey. Tyler to make an eating challenge that he would fail. Blaney is cheating. But Alejandro's not going to call this out because Alejandro wants to keep Blaney on his side because calling Blaney out would not be a good move at this point because he has Tyler, Duncan, Blaney, and he got Gwen because of Duncan, so he only has really 4 or 5 people. So I think Alejandro wouldn't want a target on his back. So I think someone like Ezekiel or Cody would call out Blaney. Duncan and Gwen are in charge, and Noah in the Redonkus race is certainly in charge. But I think Ezekiel would win because he ate disgustingly in Rat's cheese. So I do think Ezekiel will win the challenge here. So Zeke has immunity. And I feel like this is where Alejandro might do that betrayal on Tyler, right? So he might do that betrayal thing. So I think Gwen, Noah, Cody, and Duncan. Right, so Cody wants to vote for Duncan. But I think it's going to be... So I think Tyler, Blaney, and Duncan. So these 4 vote for Blaney, and the other 4... Would they vote for Noah? They might vote for Noah. I don't know. Would Alejandro get rid of Noah, or would he rather get rid of Gwen? Duncan won't vote for... Duncan won't vote for Gwen, though, because that's his own girlfriend. He might... Okay, so Alejandro... I think... Alejandro, Tyler, and Blaine... So Blaney's definitely going, so I think... The guys... Tyler votes for Duncan. Okay, so I feel like Blaney goes. So I feel like he goes to no one, says we need to get rid of Blaney. So I think these 4... Duncan's over here. It's Gwen and Tyler, so I think Blaney... These 4 vote for Duncan. And the other 4 vote for Blaney. So I think Duncan and Blaney are just sent home here. After this challenge, I don't think anyone else can save themselves. So I think Alejandro will get rid of Duncan and Blaney. So episode 21's Raff Foods. Alejandro's only ally is Tyler. Noah would talk to Zeke and Gwen and Cody that they need to get rid of Alejandro. And I think Alejandro races the top. He touches the borders. He gets there originally. like he does usually, he does get there first, and it's not too unfaithful. So Alejandro wins. So Alejandro and Tyler would vote for Noah. And I think Noah and Zeke vote for Tyler. Gwen and Cody would vote for Tyler because Tyler's Alejandro's last ally. He's the biggest threat that's not immune. So I think everyone votes for Tyler here. Episode 22, Raf Raf Thui. I'm sorry, this is African Life Safari, not Raf Raf Thui. So Alejandro's plans to trip Duncan in the film tell him Washington or Ezekiel. But now it will just be a bear. So I think he would use Tyler as bait instead. So I think Alejandro still wins the challenge. And I think Noah would go to Cody and says we need to vote for Tyler because he's Alejandro's last ally. Alejandro can't convince anyone else though. I think he does get rid of that. Because Noah's smart enough to get rid of him. Zeke. So Zeke might join Alejandro. So Alejandro tells Zeke that Cody would just choose Gwen in the end, which he panics. And I think I do think Tyler goes here. I think it really sucks, but I think Tyler gets eliminated. So episode 22 is Raf Raf Thui. So Alejandro races to the top, he dodges the boulders like he does originally, he gets there first. That's not too unfaithful, so he dodges the boulders and Alejandro wins. So Alejandro goes to Noah, and he talks to Noah and says, hey, and Noah's like, what do you want? And Alejandro says, look, I know we don't like each other, but for one time, can we make a truce? Because Alejandro and Noah realize that if they carry on like this, Gwen and Cody are going to choose each other, and he says Gwen is the biggest threat. Gwen is a massive threat at this point. We need to get Ezekiel on side to get rid of Gwen. But Alejandro knows that Zeke won't vote for Gwen, because Gwen and Zeke are former teammates. So he gets Ezekiel to vote. So these two vote for Noah. Alejandro, would he vote for Noah, or does he go for one of these three? I think he goes for Noah because Alejandro tells. So Gwen and Cody vote for Noah. Alejandro would get Zeke. Would tell Zeke to vote. Zeke votes for Noah, and I think Alejandro would just go along with that vote because there'll be no reason for him not to go with that vote. Like, there's nobody here besides Noah who's going to be a threat. Like, Gwen was in the finale before, so I think Alejandro would tell Zeke and Noah that they have to vote for Gwen here because Gwen is the biggest threat that's not immune. She done really well in this challenge. She's going to win a lot of challenges, so I think Alejandro would verify Gwen as the bigger threat because going forward, Zeke won't vote. I feel like Zeke and Gwen are friends, so they're not going to vote each other. I think these three vote for Noah, and Alejandro would go with that vote to get rid of Noah. So episode 23, non-elimination round. So episode 24 is the race. So basically this is where the race is, where they have to make, so episode 22 had to be an elimination, which wasn't the case in the original. So this is where we're going to write the extra person. So basically now we're at the episode where it's drama hours. So I think it was 23 or 24. So basically, one of them was the aftermath. But basically, Alejandro, Gwen wins the first part, right? So Alejandro finds a barrel very early on, manufactured by Heather. Now that Heather's not there, I think with equipment, Alejandro would just do the challenge faster. So Alejandro wins. So Cody and Gwen would vote for Ezekiel, and Alejandro talks to Zeke on how he needs to vote for one of them because they're going to vote him off. So this convinces Ezekiel, and Alejandro to convince him. So Alejandro asks Ezekiel who would he want to face in a tiebreaker. And he chooses Cody because Cody is the weaker of the two. And in this timeline, he's closer to Gwen, so I do think Cody would win the challenge. So in a tiebreaker between Cody and Zeke, I think Cody goes. Sorry, Cody. Wow. Basically, 3 minutes I was like back to back. That's 25 there is to Hawaii. So Ezekiel and Gwen are with each other. And Alejandro uses his smarts and the best route to get to the end. So I think Alejandro could definitely make it to the end. So between Gwen and Zeke, I think Gwen's eliminated because I think she would let Ezekiel cross before her. So Alejandro and Ezekiel are in the finale. So yeah, that's interesting. That's the complete timeline if Trent was in World Tour. Ezekiel is in the finale. So Ezekiel chooses Gwen. And I think he's going to choose. Would he choose Noah? Would he? I don't think he chooses Noah because he voted him off. He chooses Izzy because Izzy was the only other member of his team that stuck with him. So Alejandro picks Tyler. And does he pick Heather? He might. I think he picks Heather. So he picks Heather. Tyler and Heather. Okay. So Alejandro picks Tyler and Heather. The race to the top. It's very close. They each get winning endings. And I think Ezekiel would win the season. If I'm being honest, I think Ezekiel would actually. I think it would bring him full circle and redeem him. Like, it could work, the Ezekiel, or obviously I don't think Alejandro. Like, I don't think it's going to be a Heather situation where Ezekiel. It's not a Heather situation where he's completely hated, but I definitely wouldn't say he's the most popular. So that is it for this video. Thank you guys for watching this Dimensional thing to have gone if Trent was in World Tour. So let me know if you want anything else. I will be doing a series on each character. And yeah, peace, farewell.